Okay, my friends, this is another shocker du jour. We're looking at Devil's Tower. Now, I've told you, I say that is a foot from a giant creature. And it's 867 feet from its base to its summit. Now, there was a guy called Enoch, and he said there was giants on the earth in those days. And then after that, there was more giants, and these were the more giants. They were still giants. They were over 2 miles tall. He said they were 3,000 ells tall. There's a little variety there in how an L is described, but it's basically, I would go 2.13, let's say, to 2.5, right in that area. And that's about what Devil's Tower would fit into. Now, there's another place. Let me show you this, which is in Australia. All right, this is in Australia. This is called the Marree Man. All right, from here to here, it's 2.6 miles. Just a smidge over 2.5 miles. Now, they have, this just got discovered, hold on a second. Okay, they claim that this is a modern geoglyph that was discovered in 1998. Well, I disagree with that. Now, they say the Marree Man, the mystery behind a modern giant. All right, let's see who created the Marree Man. Created in spring of 1998. It took approximately 6 weeks. The lines must have been drawn with heavy machinery. This is just, I don't think that anybody knows that. Okay, this should be interesting. Who made the Marree Man in Australia, the largest ground drawing on Earth? And this is, nobody knows who made it, so let's just remember that, because I don't know what they're going to say, but I can tell you what, there is nobody knows who made it. And if they say they came in with heavy equipment, how did they get that heavy equipment in there? They would have to drop it from the sky.
Outback South Australia is stark and eerie at the best of times, and the dusty outpost of Marree is usually pretty quiet. But in June 1998, one of Australia's biggest mysteries put the town on the map when it became the focus of worldwide media attention.
It was, wow, here's this huge Aboriginal figure dug in the soil.
The Marree Man is 4.2 kilometres long, 28 kilometres around it. The markings are around about 35 metres wide, and there's about 500 kilometres of ploughing in it.
This one, I'd imagine, was done by a very small group of people, because there simply wasn't a word round the traps as to who did it. And most things that most people do, we hear about them.
Done completely.
Yeah, can you imagine they did this out in the middle of nowhere and nobody had a clue what they were doing?
In a secret, and to this day it is still a secret who may have done it. There's lots of theories.
My personal opinion is, there's been a bloke who's got a few quid and had a bit of nous, and he's had access to a bit of heavy industrial machinery. So that narrows it out a bit, doesn't it?
The first suspect with heavy industrial machinery was over at nearby Olympic Dam, the world's largest uranium mine, where Ken Lamb runs an earth-moving business.
I've been accused of making the Marree Man. No, it wasn't me at that time, no.
I do own a grader, but hours and weeks of bulldozing, it's too much industry.
It's a very big project, and it was done obviously with GPS technology. I'm not real good on computers, so probably leaves me out of the ring there.
With no clear proof, the spotlight turned to the local air charter operators.
If I had an aeroplane, I'd think, well, that would be a bloody good way to generate a bit of business.
I know our business went up by double overnight. The wow factor was good, both on the wallet and on the passenger point of view. But we wouldn't have done anything like that. We respect the community, we respect the environment, and we're trustworthy outback people.
it wasn't long before the local Aboriginal people were being accused.
Yeah, it's on my country. I live 13 k's away from it. I would be the closest.
Ron was one of the few people who could have caught the artist red-handed.
Well, I see the light there, so I thought it was the next door neighbours driving around looking for their stock. But I never took any notice, but I sat there for over an hour watching the lights. Then we found out later what it was.
Another suspect is desert wanderer and cameleer, Phil G, who was out bush at the time.
I saw many suspicious things and was asked many suspicious questions.
But now, after 10 years of pointing the finger, the locals have given up and gained a certain fondness for their giant new neighbour.
It's a great piece of artwork, biggest in the world by 7 times. Anyone doesn't like it, there's something wrong with it.
It's been put there, well that's it. You put up with it.
It was put there, my friend, by your ancestors. Now, getting back to the Marree Man. Everyone knows that I discovered mud fossils, and I've been researching them for many, many years, and I discovered that there were literally giants on the earth, and these things, the size that Enoch talked about, is not unrealistic. Devil's Tower is the very bottom of a foot, right up to the where the tendons break off, is an abrupt transition, and that is, I think it was 800 feet tall or something like that. So this is not outside of what a giant creature would be back then. I'm going to tell you what, I believe they outlined the giant creature's body that was laying here. And I can see the blood running off and all that stuff. I'll show you right now. All right, the first thing I did was look to see if anybody could have come in here with any equipment. And there's no track showing anywhere that anybody entered. All there is these fabulous looking lines. And they are actually unbelievably perfect. Now, this is his hand, apparently. Now, here's my take on this. This was an actual giant that died here. And here's why I say that. Here's the blood running off from his heart. You see this blood running off here? That's blood running off into the desert. Well, where's this coming from? Guess where it's coming from? His heart. Right here. You see this red area here? You see where it's really red and bleached, like leached into the landscape? That's where his heart would have been, right in here. And here he is, it looks like he's clutching his heart. My heart's blowing up, and it did. And that's all this red stuff running downhill off of this dead body. And I believe this was actually his body. And they highlighted it a long time ago. Now, all of this stuff is biology. I understand all of these little dots and things. That's all blood cells almost, like bloodish looking spots that have accumulated here and there in the desert, in the muds. This is all mud run off from his body. This is what his body just decayed into mud. Australia is a very strange place. And the blood chemistry in Australia is, look at it. It's just a mess. Look, there's all kinds of chemistry going on here. And this guy ended up being turned into just mud from the fleshy, muddy parts of his body, and the rest was eaten up by the chemistry. Now somebody knew he was here. Now look at this, he was circumcised. There's his penis right there. Looks to me like he was circumcised. Now, here's one of his testicles. Now, where do you see this? This blew my mind, because I'm looking for anywhere that there's any invasion into this area, and there's none. There's no. You can't find anywhere that anybody would have come in here to do this. They would have had to drop everything out of the sky if they were doing this with heavy equipment. There's no way to get in here. So, as I'm digging in here, I'm looking more and more, and I see this one little line here. And this is the only thing out of the ordinary. You see that little line coming up all the way up, all the way up, all the way up? And it goes right into this. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? You see that line going up into this? Now, where is this from? This is from his face. All right, there's his head. And he had a little top knot or something in the back, it looks like. I don't think that's his head. I think it's a tied up top knot or something like that. Here's his ear. All right, this is all bodily tissues. I'm going to tell you right now, this is all run off of bodily tissues. And there it looks like where his eye would be. In that area. It comes down for his nose. And then there's this stuff. What the hell is that? And then there's that tire tracks coming out of there. No leading into this. Just coming out. And I'll show it to you in a second. But look at this. What is all that little gooey stuff coming down? Very strange looking pattern. And don't forget, that's going to be right in front of his face, hanging down. Looks to me like something was, look at this stuff. Look at that stuff coming right out of his nose. It looks like to me, now I could be wrong about all this, but let's see where those tire tracks go. And like I say, they didn't come from anywhere, they're just leaving here. And here they are leaving, going away, going away, going away, going down. And all of this red and black, this is bodily tissues, blood. And it comes over here and it starts coming right down, past through the heart area. And don't forget, all this red is right in his chest where his heart would be. And it bled out and it drained down through here. All right, so what is this line? It's like coming right down the center of his body. It comes down, comes down, comes down, comes down. It doesn't go anywhere else, it just comes down, comes down, comes down, comes down. Comes down, comes down, comes down. Comes down into his groin, which I don't know whether this is supposed to simulate hairs or what it is, but it continues on. Watch. You see it? You see it? You see it? And then it stops right there. Another one of these crazy looking loopy things. Or maybe it comes all the way down to here. I'm not sure, but it's not going anywhere else. It's staying within the body limits. And it looked like to me, when it came down, it ended up at the testicle. These things here look like they're going right into the testicle. You see that coming right here and going right in. Yeah, I don't think this is it. I think it went right into the testicle. Now, like I say, there is no other way anybody got into this. This is a memorial for some giant hero. And it's 2.5 miles tall. And that's about what Enoch said they were. And this is the blood running off. This is all this red blood. Why do you think it would be here? Think about this. Think about why. And think about, look, the black and the red is what I always talk about, the black and red. All right, and this appears to be simply mud, which apparently he got in this depression area, and it was filled up with solvents or whatever, some kind of acid salts, and it deteriorated them down to where they could just make an outline of him, and they did. And his heart is there. And his blood is running off. That's running right off of his heart. You see it coming running right out of there. And he's holding his heart. what's going on here. This is right up in his neck where you're going to have a lot of red blood and so forth. His throat. Well, all right, I said it was in a depression. It's not actually a depression. It's a couple of feet higher than the surrounding area, but just barely. And at one time it probably was a source of extreme decomposition, because that's what this is. That was this guy's body. Alright, I'm going to show you something that I am the only one in the entire world, and I can guarantee you of that understands this. This is his arm. Alright, it comes up here, and there's his hand wrapping around this way. So here he is like this. He's got his hand wrapped around his heart. All of this red is the runoff of his dead, dying heart. And it also has black in there. Red and black are the two things. And he's holding on to that heart with his hand like this. And it's bleeding out all over the desert, and he's dying. And this must have been known by whoever did this. I mean, why would they do that? Why would they do that? And you can see it's wrapped around this big black blob here. That was his heart. This whole area was his heart. And it's this, all this red. You see the borderline of the red? You see it? You see it leaching out over here? You don't see that everywhere else. There's red running around here, running over, and then it runs out and down and puddles up way down below. But this is the source of the red and the black. The vein blood is the black blood. The red blood is the artery blood. You see? He just decomposed right here. Now, Australia is famous for opals, which opals are the product of blood decomposition and being free blood metals roaming around through waters. Let me show you something. Okay, whenever you see these colors, these are blood metals. These are the metals that are in your blood. And they transfer through your blood with these oxygen states, giving up chemistry and taking it out to the trash. That's exactly what they do. Aqueous, somewhere down here it talks about aqueous, which means water. And their transition metals form color compounds complexes. They vary depending upon the charge. Here it is, aqueous solutions. They grab a hold of other atoms. They call them ligands. I'm going to deliver some glucose. I'm going to deliver some cholesterol. I'm going to deliver something for your bones, whatever it is. They attach to the metal ion in aqueous, watery solutions. The ions form complexes, and they carry these colors. And then they go deliver. Well, if you could see what your blood looked like when it hardened up, we could see these colors. And guess what? You can see that. Okay, everybody knows what opals are. They're flashy looking colory things. And why are they what they look like? And everybody just thinks they're just rocks. Well, they're not. They were originally body parts. And the different types of tissues take on different colors to become stable. Those are those colors I just showed you, the transition metals. Just in the blood itself, if you had plasma that didn't have any metals in it, you're going to have this red. That was up at the top. This was at the bottom. Metals are heavy. They drifted to the bottom. The plasma at the top has no metals. The blood at the bottom has all the metals. Now, those metals in this aqueous, long duration of time will find partners to stabilize with. And they want an exact chemistry, and they do. And now they form opals. You see this? This is an eyeball. I don't know what kind of creature it's from, but that's the strap that makes the eyeball turn like that. This is the, well, obviously it's the eyeball. And this is I'm not sure what they call it, but it's a fluidy solution that the eyeball floats within. And every opal was from biology. They don't, and it's from creature biology, opals. Now, trees form a very similar thing, but it's called agate. And the reason is they have cellulose in their membranes. We have a whole different situation. We have collagens. So that's the difference. See this? I believe this is out in Arizona somewhere. This is what trees do. They just break off in these little flat slabs because they have cellulose layers. And they take on blood if there's enough. They take on the transition metals. Because anything will. Every single bit of biology works with transition metals. But creatures have different chemistry inside their body than plants. That's the difference. That's why these are called agates and the opals are called opals. Alright, I just highlighted around where I believe this could be an eye, and that's the other eye. Now, I'm going to take off the highlight, and of course there's his ear over here. That's the forehead, and there's the nose coming down. Now, I'm going to unhighlight this so that it is what it is. Now, and I see, when you see these kind of patches of things, normally they mean something. Not always, but most of the time. Now, what is going on with his nose? Remember this crazy looking thing hanging down, all those little... I don't know what that is. I mean, it looks nasty, whatever it is. Now, and look at this thing up here at the top. What is all that coming right out of his nose? Very, very, very strange. But I believe this was some kind of creature. Some kind of creature. Nobody came in here. I cannot find one single way that anybody could have accessed this to do that kind of work. It's not possible. I think they got to take a whole new approach and look at this. It's not a modern creation.